I'm Jim Grover. These are actual situations, things that'll make you survivable on the street.
You need to look at it from a survivability standpoint.
Simple. Remember that you're probably going to get attacked when conditions are least advantageous to you and most advantageous to your attacker, which means that they're probably going to attack you from the sides or from the rear. So standing on a range flat and just shooting like this all the time doesn't really help us a whole lot other than the fundamentals, the basics of marksmanship. We're into the intermediate tape now, and what we need to do is we need to start working with our body a little bit more action-type shooting, duplicating those situations that occur on the street. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this target here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn into it as I draw. Now, with the exception of turning to the left, we're always going to use the gun side as our strong side. That's our pivot point, because now it's a known thing. I know that if I turn this way, I know exactly where my gun's going to be. But nobody does this if they're called. If someone was to call my name, hey, Jim, nobody just turns like this, okay? What we do is we just turn into the target. We look, yeah, what do you want? So that's exactly what we're going to do if we get an assault cue. Remember, there's going to be startle involved. So initially, you're going to have that reaction like this. Remember, we talked about stomach tightening, neck craning forward, hands flying up, part of our draw. But all we're going to do is incorporate that into our draw. Now watch, because I'm not going to muzzle flash anything out here. I'm going to draw towards my target. So we get our assault cue. Whoa, initial startle, turn, draw, and fire. And reholster while you're facing downrange when you're training. Okay, now what that does is it makes sure that I'm not doing this, all right? Whoa, I'm muzzle flashing everything. I'm going to have overswing. It's going to go past the target, which is not what I want to do. I want to stop right on the target. I want to get there quickly, making sure that I'm on the sights early now and on the trigger early now and firing at full extension, okay? So the only way to do that is by literally getting our assault cue, turning, and then shooting. All right, now let's take a look at the target. This is what I was talking about with 4 fingers. Remember we talked about rhythmic shooting, okay? 4 fingers apart, just like that. Not hip and shoulder, 4 fingers. That's a good blend of speed and accuracy, and that's what we're after at combat distances, okay? So let's take a look at this again. I'm standing here, easily minding my own business, looking around. All of a sudden, assault cue occurs. Whoa! Turn, face, and there we're firing into our target again, all right? Let's take a look again. Even with that accelerated pace, you can see that at these distances, you've got no problem holding your rounds together. It's absolutely no problem. Shooting is mostly mental. Know that your rounds are going to be there, okay? All I want you to do is unweight this foot, snap your eyes to the side first, not as you go. You want to see what you're turning into. Maybe it's not your fight, okay? So when you get your assault cue, whoa, turn, look, unweight, lift, put it out, and bang, right there, at full extension. It's a simple drill, and it's a good drill. Now, incorporate that startle cue. As I'm standing here, I'm not going to do it on my own. I'm going to react to somebody's whistle or a timer. That way I don't know when it's going to occur. All right? Let's go around the clock now. Let's do it to 180 degrees to the rear. Okay, now I'm standing this way, and my attacker all of a sudden is behind me. Well, now what are we going to do? Okay, how do we most efficiently turn and fire on this? If someone called my name, what would I do? Hey, Jim. What? I'd turn around and look. All right, now all I'm doing is I'm unweighting my left foot. I'm keeping my strong foot as the constant, okay, as the fulcrum point. And all I'm going to do is just move around, just like that. Okay, simple. Now, all I have to do is add my draw. Now remember, I'm not going to draw as I turn around. I don't know, maybe there's someone over here. If an innocent person is standing there, just recently I was in Colombia, we had an incident where there was a shooting on the street. Anytime there's a shooting in a public place, people go crazy. If someone's standing right here not involved in the incident and I do this, more likely than not, they're going to avert my muzzle. They don't know what I'm going to do. Now, all of a sudden, they find themselves in the middle of this situation. Okay? We can't afford to do that. If the round was meant for us, we've got to get rounds on range, downrange quickly. Okay? So what we're going to do is, from here, we stand in mind of my own business. All of a sudden, we get the assault cue. Whoa, look, spin, and shoot. No problem. Okay? Same thing applies. Just unweight, use this as a strong side fulcrum point, turn, draw directly to the target, fire your rounds, hold it out, drop, confirm, look left, right, put it away the same way it came out. All right? Now, I want to incorporate that this time. Let's take a look. Here I am again, 180 degrees. All of a sudden, I get my assault cue. Whoa, turn around, grab, drop. Okay, now, if I just do this, whoa, and another target pops up, what's going to happen? I'm going to have that dreaded overswing, right? Gun's going to come up, go past, and now I got to settle it and shoot. Instead, what we want to do is, from here, drop it, bring it straight back, right here into this position, a weapons retention position. Now, my hand's going to come off into that on-guard position like I discussed in the first tape, put the gun away without looking, okay? Now, there's a reason for that, and obviously, again, I draw, bang, 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 shoot, okay, now it's over, I think, drop it down, bring it back, look, whoa, and there it is. It comes straight back out to my target. No overswing, I'm already on my sights, and I'm ready to trigger. Okay, so let's take a look one more time at 180-degree shooting. Here I am. Standing here, all of a sudden I get my assault cue. Whoa! Turn, look, and shoot. Put the gun away the same way it came out. All right? Okay, now let's keep going around the clock. Let's turn right. Again, here's our fulcrum point, our strong side. This is easy. Someone calls your name, hey, Jim, what? I turn just like this to see what's going on. Okay? This is no different. What I'm going to do now is I'm just basically going to go ahead, unweight my left foot, and as I unweight my left foot, I'm going to slide it around after I turn my head and eyes there, look, and draw directly to the target, not swinging into the target, okay? So I'm here, all of a sudden I get my assault cue, whoa, turn and put the gun away the same way it came out. Simple. All right, one more time. Standing here, all of a sudden I get the assault cue, whoa, head and eyes snap. And put the gun away the same way it came out. All right, let's take a look at our target here. Okay, you see here at these distances, there's absolutely no problem keeping them in the Q or in the 5 zone or in the A zone or whatever. What you have to do is you have to know that your rounds are going to be there. This is nothing for distance. I mean, we're talking about, I don't know, maybe 15 feet here, okay, 15 feet max. That's 5 yards. That's no big deal, and that's where most of your shootings are going to occur. You can use your sights. Stay on your sights. You see how quickly I'm doing. That's about 1.4, 1.5 to the first round. Maybe the second round's coming in about 1.7. No problem. That's survivable. As long as you're down below 2 seconds in your 2 shots resulting from an assault cue, that's survivable, okay? You're asking a whole lot from a person to get better than that, okay, with average practice and the average amount of rounds down range. Use this drill called positional shooting to hone your defensive shooting skills. All right, let's head down range. And what we're going to do is we're going to move into a portion of your training called close defensive firing. Close defensive firing. It's a portion of the situational shooting. And basically, what we're going to attempt to accomplish here is we're going to work as close to our target as possible, simulating that street situation where we're on somebody's toes, right here in their face, and we have a problem. Now, years ago, everyone did the speed rock, and the speed rock looks something like this. Maybe he reaches across to me. I'd knock his hand up and rock back with the gun like this. There's a problem with that. The problem is, number one, I'm way off balance. Number two, I really don't know where my muzzle is pointing, and I can miss at this distance. And number three, if he's a real determined attacker and he averts my muzzle by continuing to press, he's going to be on top of me and we're both going to be on the ground. That's unacceptable, okay? So then it kind of transformed into some government agencies into what's called a punch and shoot. And a punch and shoot was punching in the middle of the chest and then drawing, okay? Which again, I create space, which then he can use to his advantage by moving out of the way, and now we're dancing around the middle of the street. Don't want to do that either. What I want to do is I want to reach forward and grab him. I want to grab him because now no matter where he goes, I can go with him, and it's a known quantity. I want to grab hold of him. Once I've grabbed hold of him, everything is a known distance. Now all I've got to do is draw the weapon into a weapons retention position and fire. Now obviously, because we're this close to the target, we have to make sure of a couple things. Number one, don't use any metal targets. Don't use anything that might cause fragmentation. Wood, fine. But don't use any kind of metal. Make sure there's no bolts around, any kind of steel stands, plates, whatever. Number two, make sure that you're sure of your backstop, okay? The rounds may go at a fairly high angle, okay? Now, after a while, you'll always draw to the same position. Remember, this is an index, right? Our thumb is going to index on our pectoral muscle. You learn that in tape number 1. So you're going to relatively know where the muzzle is in relationship to everything else, okay? But still, we want to make sure we have a high enough backstop. We're not going to send this round out somewhere we don't want to. Number two, if I shoot down, I want to make sure that the round's not going to ricochet anywhere. Now, normal ricochets will hit at an angle of incidence, come up about 18 inches, level out, and fly straight. But even knowing that, we don't want to have anything unnecessarily go awry in the range. So using gravel is fine. Just make sure that no one's back there or around there that could subject themselves to injury from flying rock chips, etc. Okay, now, the proper way to do this drill, the proper way to accomplish it is to do it with a friend. All right? Now, what that friend's going to do is he's going to provide you with a whistle or some kind of other startle cue that you don't know what's coming. He's going to first start off blowing 3 whistles, and I've got a friend off camera, and he's going to blow my whistle. Okay, now watch this. He blows the whistle 1 time. Reach forward, grab your target, and hold the pistol right here in a 3-finger grip. See that right there? I'm not even coming up to the weapons retention position. Just holding in a 3-finger grip. Now, I've pulled it out of the holster to show it to you. You're really going to be right here, okay? So, we're right here. Now he's going to blow the whistle again. I'm going to flag my hand behind my head, come into a weapons retention position. Okay, see right there with my thumb right next to my pectoral muscle and the weapon angled out away from the cloth of my body. Then he's going to blow the whistle a last time. I'm going to check the muzzle target line, and when I'm sure that it's not high, I'm going to fire 2 rounds. All right? And then I'm going to come back down to my guard, put my weapon away. All right? Let's do it again without me talking to you. He's going to blow the whistle once. Stop. He's going to blow it again. He's going to blow it again. By doing it that way, it's safe, it's controlled, and even though you're close to your target, you know, you're getting used to it. That's what we need to do with this drill. We need to get used to it. We don't want to have any situation where that round starts coming up by your hand. Now, you look at my target right here. This is center mass, and this is normally where we'd be aiming for. This is in the gut or the pelvic girdle, depending on how tall he is. That's fine. That's fine damage right there. We don't want to be playing around and trying to get X-ring hits on this drill. It's a close combat drill designed to do damage close range very quickly. Okay, now, what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and we're going to move to 2 whistles. My friend off camera is going to blow the whistle twice. Now what we're going to do, by contrast, is he's going to blow the whistle 1 time. I'm going to actually draw to a weapons retention position. He's going to blow it again. Without letting go of the target, and no pussy grips, without letting go of the target, look at your muzzle target line and fire 2 rounds. Okay, let's do that one more time without me gabbing. All right, once. And there it is. Now, after a while, you won't have to look at the muzzle target line. You can be as sure where that round's going to go. I mean, look it. See this right here? I'm drawn to the same position each time. Okay, that's muscle memory. I've done it once or twice in my life. So now I know where that muzzle's going to be in relationship to the target. Okay? Now, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to fire a 3-round sequence on 1 whistle. And it's going to look like this. He's going to blow the whistle 1 time. We're going to draw, come to the weapons retention position, fire 2 rounds, step back, and fire 1 into the head. All right? Now, do I know where his head's going to be? No. He might be falling back, okay? He might fall back stumbling like this. He might crumple forward. I might be following his head this way. He might do nothing at all. I might put it right in his nose. Okay? Who knows? But what we want to do is make sure that we're prepared for any eventuality. Now, watch my hands closely. In order not to muzzle flash my hands, watch what I'm going to do. He blows the whistle 1 time. Draw, fire. Now, when I press out to his head, watch what happens. The gun doesn't move. As I step back, my hand comes back, and then I push the gun back out forward. Okay? So what I'm not doing is this. I'm not pushing a loaded gun towards my hand with my finger anywhere near the trigger guard. Okay? I've got the weapon like this. Okay, as I step back, hand comes back, boom. And what I like to do is work just a tap on my chest. That way I know exactly, boom, I'm right here. As soon as I tap it, Good to go. So let's go ahead and try that. Okay, let me press check first. Good to go. My friend's going to blow the whistle one time. All right, now let's take a look. Got 2 hits right here, 4 fingers, and right in the brain cavity, okay, which is exactly what we're after, okay? This is a very close drill designed to work the body extremely close in a dynamics of a fight situation. This is not static, clean range stuff. We're not doing this. There's no real safe way to practice that either. I'm crouching down into a good guard position. If I was doing combative skills, as you'll see on my combative skills tape, what's our guard? Our guard is right here. It's the same thing, okay? When I go here, I'm crouching down, I'm here, I'm going to fire twice, then I'm going to step out, bang, and shoot him in the head. Okay, let's try that one more time. And once again, let's look at the target. No problem, okay? Are these acceptable hits? Absolutely. This is probably one of the most survivable skills you can master, but you don't want to mess around with it unless you're doing it safely. This is no time to do any kind of playing around. It's a very serious drill. You have to be very careful as you set it up, and you got to be very careful as you go along through the drill. Don't try to go too fast initially. Let your muscle memory build slowly and work your speed up. After a while, a couple of months, you'll be quick. Be no problem at all. Good luck. What we're going to do now is George and myself are going to demonstrate to you just how fast the fixed blade knife is against a shooter. There's a lot of people out there that believe that, you know, if they're standing this close to somebody and the world turns to shit, that they're actually going to shoot somebody with a knife. And as far as tactics go, I want you to understand that that's very, very unlikely, okay? This happens so fast. There's no aim involved. There's nothing. It's just a slash, and a good knifer, once it comes out, he's not just going to slash. He's going to slash, and then he's going to start working you over, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stand here with my fixed blade knife covered up like this. George is going to be covered and concealed, and when Steve, the cameraman, blows the whistle, what I'm going to do is take the knife out, and I'm just going to start working the target, and he's going to fire the 2 rounds from a close defensive firing position, okay? Most important thing is don't duplicate this. Don't go out and try to do it. Because it's, unless you're handy with a knife and handy with this method that I taught you, because it is fairly dangerous, obviously. This knife is a Casper Companion made by Al Polkowski up in Pennsylvania. Our knife fighting chief in the Gung Ho Chuan Association designed this knife. It's a legal knife, single-edged, less than 4 inches long, fixed blade. So this is a legal knife. Looks like a utility knife unless you really knew what you were looking at. It's a fighter. You can see the finger groove right here, pinky hook, the palm swell. This is a real fighting knife. It can be used either here in this grip for thrusting or here in a hammer grip for slashing. Okay? So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. George, you set? You press check? Steve, you're good to go. We're both facing the camera. Take a look. All right, let's do it again. And we'll do it one last time. Now you can see that George is getting a shot off, but you got to ask yourself, if he's on top of me right here, I'll just use the magazine, or I'll use the knife with the sheath on it. If he's right here, if he's going to draw that gun and I'm doing this, what am I doing? I'm cutting his arm and his hand. Okay, as I'm facing him, he goes to the gun. It's going to be a bad problem, okay? Is he going to be able to continue to draw once I start slicing him up here? Who knows? A lot of injury, a lot of pain, a lot of blood. One thing I would like to do next is I'm going to ask George to start down range at the berm, and I'm going to separate myself from him quite a bit, and I'm going to put a target down range. And we're going to do the mythical 21 feet. We're both going to be standing there just like this, and then when Steve blows the whistle, George is going to start running right at me, and I'm going to try to draw and get my rounds off. You always hear these mythical 21 foot problems. You know, a guy can cross 21 feet before you can shoot him, and that's bull. You've got to practice. You've got to be good with your weapon. That you'll find that that's bull. Once we do it at 21 feet, I'm either going to close it up, we're going to go to 10 feet. Okay, now that's given that I see something's happening, okay? If a guy's 21 feet away and I'm completely innocent looking this way and he runs at me, of course he's going to get to me and whack me, okay? You got to be aware of your surroundings, know what's going on. Any kind of motion like that in a hostile area should make you look anytime someone starts jetting at you. Let's face it, if a guy targets you and there's no motivation or anything and he decides to kill you, to just walk up and cut you or shoot you, it's going to happen. I mean, I don't care what you know. If you're standing this way, looking this way like this, and this guy over here that I'm not even aware of, I don't even feel threatened, just says, I'm going to walk over there, and then I'm going to stick him in the guts. That's exactly what he's going to do, okay? And unless you are just like Batman and have bat senses, and in time can work your unarmed combat, it's not going to happen. Now, against a knife that close range, you got to develop your unarmed skills. You absolutely have to. That's the only way that you're going to be able to keep him from cutting you. Okay, as you'll see in my combative skills video, the knifer is never going to run at you like in the dojo attack, like this. He's not going to do this, okay? More often than not, he's going to do this. He's going to hit you in the eyes with his hand to make you do this. Your stomach's wide open, whoop, and here comes the knife, okay? But you'll see more of that on our combative skills video. All right, so let's try this mythical 21-foot bullshit. Okay, what we've got set up now is we got George downrange. We got 7 yards, 21 feet. He's going to try to run up and slap that target. George, you'll cover down right on this target right here. He's George. You're going to cover down right on that target, and you'll run straight to it and slap it. Meantime, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to draw at that same distance and shoot my target. From the time Steve blows the whistle, unexpected, we don't know when it's going to happen. Okay, so let's see what goes on.
Is it on me?
No, Steve's going to blow the whistle.
I was sleeping on that one.
Okay, let's take a look. We'll do it again. That was good.
Randall, it's good, man. Well, my glasses survived. How's that target doing?
Okay, come on down, take a look at the targets. You be the judge. You tell me what's going on. Yes, I'm ready, and I'm aware, and I think that something's going to happen, but I should be doing that tactically anyway. Let's move the distance closer now, and let's start George at 10 feet, and let's see what happens. 10 feet, 3 yards. 1, 2, 3, and 1. So he's going to be even with my target. And let me just check my ammo. And one last time. Okay, I think you get the point, all right? Bottom line is knife versus gun. Can a guy cross the distance? Yeah, he can if you're not trained or if you're moderately trained. If you go through a firearms course and then don't continue to practice, you're going to be fumbling that grip like this. You're going to be under a threat, trying to get the gun out, all screwed up. But by training, remember what I said, you can emotionally detach to a process. Don't think about what's happening, think about the process. Get the gun out and shoot. Stay cool under fire. Now, if I chose to back up, it'd even be better. My results would even be better. If I chose to stand here and when George ran, if I did this, it'd be even better. Remember, I already taught you about moving and shooting, how to move away, right? And we had great accuracy. So what's the difference, all right? That way we can make sure that we're creating space. I'm continuing to put well-aimed rounds down range, and we're getting that knifer. Obviously, we can set up a situation that you can't beat, but I think that's a fair indication about what you can be if you decide to train hard and stay aware of your surrounding and your environment. All right, let's talk about multiple assailant drills. Multiple assailant drills used to be fired best by using a common El Presidente. In other words, 10 yards back, 3 targets, same height, on a flat plane, facing away, on the tone, turn, fire twice, 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 reload twice, twice, twice. And that's not a bad drill. A good time for that drill is 12 seconds to 9 seconds. A real good time is under 9 seconds. That's 12 shots with a reload. Only problem is that's awful static, and that's really not what's happening on the street. 3 people walking abreast coming up to you, that's not probably what's going to happen. What I like to do is take the same principle of the El Presidente drill and use different colors, different heights, and different distances. You can see here that I've bladed some of the targets so that they're not exactly flat to me, just like it would be on the street, bladed. Maybe he's not looking directly at me. I got a little short pygmy guy back there, and then I got a medium height guy here that's kind of facing me. And what we're going to do is we're going to center ourselves somewhere in the center here like this and actually face the targets. The whole principle behind this is basically that confrontation that you might have to back up out of, or you see it coming and you start getting that feeling in the pit of your stomach, I may have to shoot my way out of this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use this kind of drill to work our ability to go from target to target. Now there's a couple of ways to do that. One way that you can do it is use a turret method. And by using a turret method, what I mean is you would draw the weapon and then you would swing at the waist here to here. Okay, using your arms just like the turret on a tank. Boom, boom, boom. The problem I have with that is that I have a tendency to make it an arm-heavy maneuver and overswing and come back on each target. Overswing, come back, overswing, come back. And it doesn't work for me. That's not to say it doesn't work for some people. Now, what I choose to do is I use my knees, and basically for all but the largest target swings, in other words, for all but the largest 180-degree swing, your knees are going to work fine. So again, I'm up here on target. All I'm going to do is shift my knees slightly to move the gun. By doing that, my movement's directly onto the target and not overswing and back, overswing and back. It stops directly on the target, which is what we're after, okay? Now, another thing is the use of your head and eyes. I'm old school. I was brought up 3-eye principle. 1, 2, 3. Wherever these 2 eyes go, this one goes. So I'm never caught like this. Competition shooters have perfected shooting one target, looking, leading with the head, looking, leading with the head. I personally don't shoot that, and I would counsel you against it unless it's a very short shift. In other words, right here, wouldn't be any problem to do that. Okay, but I think that there's a whole lot going on real fast and it's not necessary. But shoot both methods. Shoot both the turret method and the knee method. Shoot leading head method and then the 3-eye principle method. See what works for you. I'm different from you, you're different from me, we're both different from George. We've got to see what happens personally to make our own shooting style work. So let's take a look at this drill. All I'm going to do initially is I'm going to stand right here facing my targets, and I'm just going to fire nice, easy, controlled pairs on each target, okay? We can get into a tactical discussion about whether you should fire 2 rounds, 2 rounds, 2 rounds, or 1 round, 1 round, and then clean it up. I'm not going to talk to you about that. And the reason is the tactical situation will dictate. Okay, as I said earlier, very few people maintain rhythmic shooting once the shit starts. So you're in here, all I'm going to suggest to you is that you shoot these targets until they're all shot. It's very simple, okay? I'm not going to play a silly game with you like some schools do. This guy's got a hand grenade, that guy's got a shotgun, that guy's got a machine gun. I'm not going to talk about that. Who knows what you're going to run into, okay? You're going to shoot it as you see it. I'm not even going to tell you shoot right to left or left to right. Who cares? The fact of the matter is you're going to shoot all of the targets as quickly as you can, accurately, in vital areas. Okay? That's the whole goal of this. Now, you can play what-if games and build yourself right into a box. In other words, if I'm standing here and he's got a knife and he's got a shotgun, which guy do I shoot first? Well, the way I look at it is you're shit out of luck either way. This guy can sure cut me and that guy can sure pull a trigger. So playing that kind of game on you is a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. All right? Let's take a look at this. Let's shoot it and we'll see what happens. I'm going to go nice controlled pairs, nice and easy rate of fire. You should be able with hammers to fire 2 rounds in 2/10 of a second like I talked about. So you should be very well prepared to go 2, 2, and 2 once you get into the drill. Okay, let's go nice and slow and see what it looks like. Standing here, okay, I might just draw and... Okay, so let's take a look. We got 4 fingers on this target like we talked about? I guess we do. Okay, got a little bit better than 4 fingers on this target. On an oblique, you can see where the rounds are impacting on a oblique. So I've got good A-zone shots there, and then a couple of good A-zone shots here. All right? To make it a little bit more realistic now, what we can do is we can actually add a little bit of movement. For instance, say I'm walking down the road here, and I'm walking down a sidewalk, and I see a bunch of people hanging around, and all of a sudden I say, uh-oh, and I start backing away, and then all of a sudden it becomes a threat. Now, and let's take a look at what we got. Got two good A-zone hits here. Again, on an oblique, looking at a man this way. You got to remind yourself that you're shooting this way now. You got good A-zone hits, okay? Anything along this line, right into here is where your A-zone is. Okay, it's different than when the target's flat to you. And then right here, I'm just outside the A-zone right there on my swing. But good shot separation, okay? You would fire this drill until you get really comfortable with it, and until you can do it turning around, doing it walking forward, walking backwards, start off looking this way. And then when you want to, or when your partner blows the assault cue, turn and shoot the drill, okay? These are nice drills to work. Makes you start thinking in multiple or in depth about what if there's more people than I think I might handle. After you've done that, we can really close the distance. In other words, we might take these targets and move them something like this. And just to close our distance and just to work our problem, what we're going to do is start off from a close defensive fire that I've already taught you. Now, obviously, since I'm going to orient myself right here, now the rounds better be in there to be A-zone shots, because now the target's not angled on an oblique to me. So you've got to remember that, and don't just accept bullshit on your target, okay? So now, let's say I'm this close. This might be a common occurrence, okay? I'm standing right on top of my target. I see a problem. I might have to do a close defensive fire here and then back out and shoot these fellas on the way. So standing right here, it might start something like this. Let's take a look at what that looks like, okay? We got good girdle shots right here. I'd say this got the job done. And I'd say this got the job done. Remember, you can miss at very close ranges. In fact, people miss at very close ranges all the time. Policemen on the street, people who get into shootings, etc., because they don't train with the amount of stress that they need to, and they just start wailing. Even though I'm this close, I'm still going to use my sights. I'm not doing instinctive shooting. Remember, it's not you eat, sleep, and instinctively. That's it. So as I'm here, as I back away, why not use my sights? No problem with that at all, okay? We just got to think tactically on the street. All right, let's talk about vehicles now. A lot of violence occurs around vehicles, and this is the next step in our situational shooting, where we're going to address our environment and having to shoot in our environment. There are really two circumstances that you may have to shoot from the vehicle or from when you get out of the vehicle. The first one is when you're overseeing something. In other words, the vehicle still functions, you're parked, maybe you're waiting for your wife to come out of the mall and she's accosted in front of you. If you're a duty personnel, maybe you're covering a meeting or an event or something like that and it goes bad, a drug buy goes wrong, you know, and you're the officer that has to respond to all of this. In those environments, okay, we're going to try to get out of the car and get away from it. If you stand near this car, if you stand behind the door, we know that's not covered. But if you stand near this car becomes the lead magnet. So if you're here not under cover, then people just start shooting at the car, which happens to be where you're at, okay? Unfortunately, what happens is when you're nervous and excited, when you go to blow out of this car, a lot of bad things can go wrong, okay? So let's talk about them. Number one, your hands from here, you'll be sitting here watching, seeing what you're doing right here. As you get your assault cue, you're going to do two things. Number one, this hand's going to drop to the door opening mechanism. This hand is going to go to draw your weapon and clear your coat. So from here, the first motion is going to be here. Now from here, what I've got to do, when I push this door open, the tendency is to be excited and do this, which means the door is going to come right back and hit me in the leg or take my leg off, especially if you're working with an armored vehicle. If you're working with an armored vehicle and your leg's caught like this and it whips back, you can fracture your leg. It's a very, very hard door, obviously, because it's armored. So what we're going to do to prevent that is we get our initial cue, we make our move, put the foot right against it. By doing that, we're going to ensure that it's not going to come back on us, okay? Now, the weapon is still not unholstered. I've got a 3-finger grip, but it's not unholstered. I'm still here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm still looking downrange at my target area. As I start to get out, I'm going to drop my foot off the door, reach, sit up, and as your hips start to clear the plane of the door, that's when you would draw the weapon, step back, and punch the gun out. Now notice that I'm moving away from the car. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I don't want to get hung up in this V area here and be restricted as far as where I can shoot. Number two, if I'm crouched under a natural reaction to fire, I don't want this to happen. I don't want to mask my muzzle, okay? Anytime that you start working around vehicles, you've got to be very, very careful, or barricades for that matter. You've got to be very careful that you don't mask your muzzle. Now, let me show you what I mean by that. Right here, my front sight is clear as I face over here. However, look where my muzzle's pointed. If I was to fire that round, it's going to impact the hood of the roof of the vehicle, okay? Because my front sight is clear, it's on a target, no problem, but still, I've masked my muzzle. You got to make sure that that gun is clear of all of that. If a round impacts a hard metal object this close, you're going to have a lot of splashback and a lot of bad things can happen. You can cause great injury to yourself, which is obviously not what we want to do. So again, once my hips clear the plane of the vehicle, right here, that's when I draw the weapon and step back and onto my target. And then I can make a tactical decision whether I'm going to move forward into the fray, whether I'm going to back up into another better covered position, et cetera, et cetera. This right here is not providing me cover as you look at it, right? We know that rounds can go right through this door. That's not going to stop anything. Now, another reason that we don't want to draw the weapon when we get out of the car initially is for this. Let's say that there's another person in the vehicle. So, as I sit in the vehicle, here I am, all of a sudden I get my assault cue, uh-oh, need to shoot, open the door, step here, and I draw the gun here. Look at the angle the gun's pointed at, right at my passenger. Even if he's exiting the vehicle himself, the weapon is still pointed at him. Now what if I've gotten a little bit excited, the finger's gone into the trigger guard, and I have that sympathetic muscle tightening as a reaction to fire? I've just shot my partner, or shot near my partner. You don't want to do that, okay? For that reason, what we're going to do is we're going to maintain a good, disciplined approach. Let's say, for example, that now you're in the passenger side and you have to get out and shoot down at an objective. It's going to be slightly more difficult because your strong hand, your right hand, is also the same one that's going to want to draw the weapon. It's going to have to also open the vehicle. Or you can reach across and use this hand, which is what I prefer to do. Now, to do this properly, what you're going to do is you're going to do basically the same thing. Look downrange, you see a problem that's starting to develop. As you see that, you get your assault cue. What you're going to do is move both hands at the same time. Okay? Again, I'm using my right foot to hold the door open. I'm using my left hand and arm to steady myself and the car door. My right hand has already obtained a 3-finger grip on my pistol. So I'm here. Now when I get out, all I've got to do is drop this foot, again, pull the weapon as my body clears the frame of the car, and back up and shoot. Very, very simple. Let's do it again. Again, I'm sitting in here, I'm the passenger, okay? A lot of things are going to happen at the same time. I'm going to turn, go to the weapon, pull it out, back away. Okay? One word of caution, when you do this live fire, as we're about to do, make sure that you're not masking your muzzle like I talked about earlier, including antennas and this kind of thing here. You may want to take the car's antennas off, etc., because that can be problematic. All right? Let's try this live fire now. You know, something's funny. Every time you try to do this, to students in training, they say, hey, no big deal, get out of a car and shoot. Until you've actually done it and dealt with Murphy and all of this stuff, seat belts, carpets, velour that wants to grab you and hold you, you really haven't mastered it. It's more about all those things happening in an efficient manner than it is happening in a fast manner. If you do it spasmodically, you're going to get hung up in everything. There's a lot of shit happening right here. So the ability to come out cleanly and efficiently and get shooting is critical. Now, if you watched as I got out also, my body is not coming out of full concealment until the gun comes out. That adheres to our basic principle of muzzle first to danger. Okay, I don't want to step up and present myself as a great target until I'm protected by my own muzzle. Okay? When you do this, be very careful and use a friend's car. All right, let's talk a little bit about now what happens when we have to get out of the vehicle if we're ambushed and the vehicle's immobile. Very, very bad situation, obviously, because now we know that this is the target. This is the X. We're in the X. From a driver's standpoint, if you have a passenger, that passenger holds your life in his hands. How fast he gets out is directly related to your survivability. If he bitches up that doorway and gets stuck in there, then that's more time that you've got to be in the hot seat with rounds coming in. Even if you're low below the window line like we'll get, if I'm out here and this is unarmored and I'm shooting into the door, those rounds impacting into you, okay? So your passenger has got to be clued in how to do these kinds of things. So let's start with a passenger, okay? We're going to use the same method that we did the first time as far as getting out of the vehicle. Same thing's going to happen. The only difference is that we're not going to worry about drawing the weapon at all until we're out of the vehicle. Now what you'll see is I'll get out of the vehicle, I'm going to move aggressively to the rear following the flow of the door. The first guy cannot get stuck wanting to go up front and clog up this area. He's going to literally fall out of the vehicle. He's going to move back here to a position of good cover and concealment behind the wheel, using the mass of the car as cover, and then worry about drawing his weapon. Okay? So let's take a look at what that looks like. We know how to open a car. You already did that. So all we're going to do is I'm here. As soon as I get my assault cue, I'm just going to fall out of the vehicle. Now, from here, I'm going to get my proper spacing. I'm going to draw my weapon, take a deep breath, because this is really going to suck, and then come up, muzzle first to danger. And down if I need to. Okay, let's take a look again. People laugh about it, but make sure you take that deep breath. You'd be amazed at what that'll do to calm you down. So I'm here, all of a sudden the vehicle stopped. Whoa, fall out. See this? Murphy's Law. Look at that. Perfect example of what I'm talking about. Let's do that again. Here we are. Ambush, vehicle stop. Whoa! Get out, fall out. Back up, deep breath. Oh, and up you go to fire. That's simple. All right, let's try it hot. Put a target downrange. Let's set this up. Move my friend down. What I try to do anytime I do this drill with two people is put an odd number of targets downrange and don't let them G to it. In other words, don't let the shooters say, well, you know, you shoot the guy on the left and I'll take the other two, because you won't know what's going on in a tactical environment. Don't let them say anything. Just bail out, shoot until all the targets have been shot. This is a good drill to use with steel, okay? So I'm in the vehicle. All of a sudden, the assault cue occurs. Whoa! Deep breath. This is gonna suck. And that's all there is to it. Muzzle first to danger, okay? Now, depending on the tactical situation, once I shoot, I might want to stay here. I might want to stay in this position and look around, okay, depending on how many attackers there are and if they put overwhelming fire back at me. Now, take a look at the angle I've got here. Look how close to the vehicle my weapon is. To the rear window. Do I really care? At that point, do I care? No, I don't care if I hit this car. I could give a shit. What I want to do is put rounds into the bad guy, okay? So any movement that's going to expose you to fire to get around an obstacle which a bullet will pass through, don't worry about it. Only worry about those things that will cause splashback, will cause debris and things come back into your face. But if you can shoot through glass, if my only shot was through these two windows, guess what? I'm firing through these two windows. All right? Now let's take a look at what the driver has to do. Let's say that you're alone. The first thing that you're going to have to worry about is dropping below this line of sight. In other words, I don't want to do this where the bad guy can still see me and still shoot at me. What I want to do is fall flat on the floor, on the seats rather, and slither across the seat, open the door, and fall out just like you do when you're a passenger. You remember that old carnival tale? It slithers on its belly like a reptile. That's what you want to do, okay? So all I'm going to do is fall flat, get to that door, bail out. But this time, if I'm alone, I'm going to choose the better cover, the front, got engine block, etc. If I'm part of a two-man pair, I still have to go to the front because where'd my partner go? Along the flow of the door, okay? So now here I am. I'm going to drop out of vision. You're going to see the door open, and then I'm going to show up back over here. All of a sudden, I get my assault cue. Whoa! Deep breath. Oh, shit. And up. It's not really graceful. You're going to be slithering across this, but that's what it is. So we need to do it in practice. All right, let's take another look at it. From here, I'm right here. Now I want the camera to come up and show me as I slither across this seat. All of a sudden, I get my assault cue. Whoa! Get the proper distance off my barricade. Draw the weapon. This is gonna suck. Muzzle first to danger. All right, want to do it hot? Let's go. Good target. All right. And here we go. Whoa! Get proper distance. This is gonna suck. Back down behind cover. Anytime you have a problem like that, get back down behind cover. You see a lot of people stay up. It wouldn't make much sense for me to do anything with my weapon, like a reload or a malfunction, up here, okay? Just get back down behind cover, keep on rolling. Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Okay, let's go on then. What we're going to talk about now is we're going to talk about table shoots. Table shoots are something that I designed quite a while ago to make sure that students weren't scooping. Depending on the environment you find yourself in, you may be snuggled right up to a bar situation, or there might be some kind of stand, a food stand or something that you're right up against and you can't move back. Typically what I found when I started doing training years ago is people like to get away from things and create space. Well, there's really no requirement to do that if you're drawing correctly. If you follow the guidelines that we covered on the first tape about your actual draw, you should clear this very easily, using that 90-degree angle and coming up high, indexing with your thumb on your pectoral muscle and pushing out. So basically what we do is we have students come down range and actually stand this close to the table. Let me put my hearing protection in. So the student comes down range, stands right here. We have him put his hands down on the table right here. And then on an assault cue that he doesn't control, either a timer or a whistle, we make him actually draw, clear the table, and shoot. Now, if you look at my draw, there's really, I could just be doing a standing draw and fire. No problem at all. But because of the space, because of the things, maybe we'll move these in a little bit, get them a little bit close, make the shooter a little bit nervous. People have a tendency to want to step back. Well, don't do that. As you're standing here, all you want to do is put your hands right down like this, and then draw and fire. It's simple. Don't let anything in your environment screw you up. Now, typically online, what we'll do is we'll have shooters standing right next to each other. We'll have them almost shoulder to shoulder, so there's a lot going on right here. And again, when they don't expect it, just have them draw and fire. Now, look downrange at the target, and what you'll see is, you'll see that most shooters, when you get them close to this, will start to either slow their shooting speed down incredibly, or you'll see that their groups really start to go wide for some reason. This is something that you've got to overcome by using this drill. You can see all we did was use 2 sawhorses and a sheet of plywood to make a makeshift table, put it up here, ready to go. Now, each one of these shots, you can see I've been shooting here a little bit today, so naturally my groups are going to get tighter and tighter. Now we're down to 2 fingers, 1 finger. That's going to happen, okay? But normally what we're after, remember, 4 fingers, okay? All right, let's try it one more time, see what it looks like. I'm going to ask my cameraman to stand right there so that he can get it from the front, just a little bit to the side so he can take a look from here. All I'm going to do is stand right here, and then again as I draw, here and shooting. Nothing to it. Try this drill. It's worthwhile, and it'll really improve your defensive shooting skills. The next drill that we're going to talk about is a seated drill. There may be some situations where you find yourself seated in a restaurant or a bar, for example. Maybe there's a table, maybe there's not. But we might not want to take the extra effort to stand up out of our chair, draw and fire. So what we're going to do is we're going to perfect just staying seated, drawing and firing. Okay, very simply, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to lean forward first to get pressure off the gun so you can get to the gun. Once you're in this position right here, you're going to find that it's a simple draw. My hands are going to work the same way. My right hand's going to work the same way as it always does. My left hand's going to do the same thing it always does. Okay, so from this position right here, all I'm going to do is move forward, draw the gun, bring it straight out, and there I'm shooting. Okay? A lot of this stuff is nothing more than figuring out that you can do things. It's using props on the range. A lot of schools try to be mysterious and try to make you believe that there's this technique or that technique, and they put their name on it, and they try to delude the actual student that you could figure this stuff out yourself. It's just that those of us in the business have had to figure it out, so we've had to come up with the props and had people do it. There's nothing here that you couldn't do on your own. Just take a seat to the range and shoot out of it. Okay, but when I teach students, they think it's high speed. It's not, okay? We need to get past that and just say, hey, we're going to shoot. We're going to learn some neat things about a pistol. So from here, okay, when you get your assault cue, all you're going to do is lean forward, clear the gun, and shoot. Simple, okay? Let me go ahead and check my weapon, make sure that I've got some rounds in it. I'll put my hearing protection on, and we'll shoot this drill. So from here, standing by, my friend off camera is going to use the whistle. Does he have his whistle? Okay, now, when I don't expect it, he's going to blow the whistle and lean forward and put the weapon away. And again. And put the weapon away. And one last time. And put the weapon away. Simple drill. Simple drill, but something that's necessary. And the reason it's necessary is because we have to operate in our environment. Remember what I said in the first tape. You're out of control when you're out on the street. You're out of control of all the variables that can get in your way when you're attacked. When are you going to be attacked? When the conditions are least advantageous to you, most advantageous to your attacker. So by using these kinds of props and this kind of situational shooting, you're going to get much more, you're going to be in much more control or much better control of your environment. All right, let's talk about busy hand drills. Busy hand drills occur when you clutter up your hands. In other words, have a newspaper in your hand, a briefcase, a cup of coffee, a cigarette, whatever. Any of those daily things that are, you're involved in. And then from then, have a partner blow a whistle or use a shooting timer to give you a startle cue, a startle assault cue. By using a startle assault cue, it forces you to not know when you're going to shoot. And that's a beautiful thing because then you're reacting, which is exactly what you're going to do on the street. Remember, you're out of control on the street. You're out of control of those variables around you. So anytime that you can come up with that on the range, that you can duplicate that kind of feeling of out of control, we want to do that. So with something in your hand like this, just stand there relaxed, and when you get your assault cue, drop and draw. That's the most simple thing to do. Every year on the highway, lots of people get into car accidents because they can't put that goddamn cup of coffee down before they react to the accident occurring in front of them. Let's not let that happen to us when we're shooting. I touched on this a little bit in tape number 1 based on using a low barricade. Remember I talked about high barricades, medium barricades, and low barricades. But I want to go into it in depth. I don't teach the rolled over prone position to make long shots. A lot of times schools and instructors say, okay, if you have a very long shot to make, go ahead and make that shot from a rolled over prone position. being a defensive handgun class, what I say is if you're that far away, you should be getting out the other way. You should be running the other way. Why would you want to flop down on the ground and use a pistol to engage someone 100 yards away, 75 yards away, 50 yards away when you could be running away? Simple thing, okay? So that's just my mentality, my thought process. Yes, there's times when you might have to, you can't run away, you can't get away, you got to make that shot. But for the most part, that's people who are duty-oriented, certainly not civilians, okay? So from a duty standpoint, yeah, you might want to play with that. From a civilian standpoint, it's questionable. But you do want to learn to roll over prone position because you may have to flop down on the ground to use the only available cover, a curb, anything that's very low. If that's it, all right? Now, there's some problems with the rollover prone position. Number one, sympathetic muscle tightening, okay? The first thing that we have to realize when we drop down to a rollover prone position is your key objective is to get down, to change your target status. My target status right now is standing erect. I can be seen by all kinds of people from all different angles. I want to make myself smaller. So the first thing that I'm going to do is drop down to my knees, here. The second thing that I'm going to do is I've got to stop myself from just falling flat on my chest, and the way I'm going to do that is by catching myself with my hand. Now, if I've already drawn my weapon, when I catch myself, there's a thing called sympathetic muscle tightening. And sympathetic muscle tightening right now, as I fall down, boom! If I snap my finger right here because of sympathetic muscle tightening, I could shoot my own damn hand. Or I could certainly shoot the ground right in front of me, put frags in my face, kick up some rocks. So you got to be very careful to keep your trigger finger straight initially. So as you drop down onto your knees right here, all you're going to do is reach forward, make sure the pistol is in a weapons retention position right here, indexed properly like we know to do, and then all you're going to do is roll into position, like so. Now, yeah, the weapon is canted, okay? See how the weapon's on a cant like this? That's really no problem, okay? You just have to understand where the round is in relationship to the barrel and the sight. In other words, where would my strike occur in this attitude? It would occur at 7 o'clock because my muzzle is at 7 o'clock as it relates to my front sight. So what we have to do is make sure that that's all right, that we factor that in. At close ranges, it's not going to matter. But at long ranges, if you're making that long-range shot, it will matter. Always reholster in the kneeling position. Don't struggle to get up with the gun. Reholster in kneeling position, and then stand up. Okay, so let's put it all together. From here, I'll use this target right here. From here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to stand here. When I get my assault cue, drop down and roll into it. And that's all there is to it. It's very, very simple. Again, reholster, kneeling position, and back up. Now, when you do this on a range, since you're shooting from a prone position, make sure that your backstop is high enough to prevent rounds from going anywhere other than your intended target. All right? You're shooting from a very low position. Just to make a chest shot on this target, the angle is going to be very great. So you got to make sure that you at least have a good 15 feet of backstop back there to make sure that the rounds aren't going to escape. All right, let's try it live fire now. I'm going to stand by, and when I least expect it, up, and back up. Very simple, okay, very simple. One more time, standing here. And put it away. Now, hopefully you saw some of this dust and crap kick up. That's just from overpressure. If that's going to happen just from overpressure, you can imagine what would happen, as I discussed earlier, if you went down and shot around right there, the frag of stone being that close to your arms, your hands, your face, you could really injure yourself, okay? Make sure that you keep that trigger finger straight when you catch yourself going down into that rollover prone position. And try it from a variety of different angles. Try it face on, try it walking sideways and rolling into it sideways, try it long distance, try it close range, try it in a variety of different attitudes in respect to where you are and the target is. Obviously, from an equipment standpoint, we want to make sure that you practice all the things that can go wrong from that prone position. In other words, you've got to practice reload, you've got to practice malfunctions, you've got to practice all of that. Just because you can do it standing up doesn't mean shit. You've got to be able to do it from all positions, kneeling, prone, seated, standing behind a table, etc. All right, so what it's going to look like as we shoot this thing from a rolled over prone position, go into a reload, is simply this, okay? I'm going to drop first, come down, and fire my rounds, and then reload. Nothing changes. Everything stays the same. Okay, did you see that? All I did was the very same thing that we did when we learned to do the reload in tape 1. I cleared the coat, I grabbed deep on the magazine, I pulled this magazine free. Nothing changes. Just because I'm laying down doesn't mean anything. Let's try that one more time, see what it looks like. Standing here and down. Which brings us to our next thing, malfunctions. Okay, what happened right there is Glocks are kind of notorious for that, not staying open on the last round. What's going to happen when we have a malfunction? When we have a malfunction, we've got to correct it. Okay, that was a simple tap, rack, bang. All right, let's take a look at this position. See how my knee is cocked right here? That's to keep my chest off the ground. We know that when we get a good dump of cortisol in our body, as we face a lethal threat, our alveoli and lungs and bronchi are going to dilate, which is going to make us start breathing heavy. Similar to when we might have exerted ourselves in a cardiovascular manner. If I lay flat on my chest, that's going to transmit to the end of my hand, and my muzzle is going to do this. By keeping my chest off the ground, like this, I can breathe as heavy as I want. There's very, very little movement at the muzzle, and that's what we want to do. So we want to cock this leg just like this. Now, the other thing is that, oh, good blood in the video. We want to make sure that as we're here in the firing line, I create a rifle by placing my face down here on my arm. You can see that the radius now is right through my stock weld, which occurs from my cheek on my bicep, right here, all the way out my forearm. The gun's in line with my forearm bones, and this arm is just going to help support it, just like that. By doing this right here, I've actually created a rifle, haven't I? Very, very simple. Okay, so all you want to do is just lock it in just like this. Legs cocked up, eyes right down, good stock weld, and ready to shoot. If you can't get into this position, then move your position around until you can. Now, my body is going to be different from the next guy, is going to be different from the next guy. You will shoot some variation of this. The key is for you to play with it until it becomes very comfortable and natural. Okay? One last thing, obviously, good hard training, okay? Anytime you're going to go out and train, you want to make sure that you don't worry about the little. This is no big deal.